Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
It felt inevitable, like the low rumble before a storm you know is going to break, because the moment the Blue Jays secured Kazuma Okamoto, the roster itself began whispering secrets. Depth charts started shifting in the shadows, playing time began fighting for oxygen, and suddenly the quiet parts of the off-season grew loud. Trade reports, once cautious and vague, are now sharpening into something more defined, more urgent. And today, those reports center on one particular player who was a meaningful part of last season, a name that carries weight in this clubhouse. Before we get into all of it, make sure you like this video, share it with a fellow Jays fan who lives for off-season chaos, and subscribe, because this is the place to be for daily Blue Jays coverage. When Okamoto signed, it wasn't just a contract being inked, it was a domino being tipped. The Jays didn't merely add talent, they altered the geometry of their roster. Baseball rosters are living things, and when you feed one side, another must slim down to survive. This front office knew that going in. Everyone did. You don't acquire a bat of Okamoto's caliber without accepting that a subtraction is coming. The only question was when, and more importantly, who. Ben Nicholson-Smith has been quietly laying the groundwork for this reality all week, repeatedly pointing out that any further additions would almost certainly need to be paired with a corresponding trade. That line is doing a lot of heavy lifting, because it tells us exactly where we are in the process. The Jays aren't done. They are rearranging. And when you look at where the surplus truly sits, your eyes are immediately drawn to the outfield, where bodies outnumber innings and good players are fighting for scraps of playing time. This is where the rumors begin to circle like gulls over a harbor. The outfield depth in Toronto is both a blessing and a problem. You have Nathan Lucas, coming off an excellent season, finally looking like a legitimate everyday major leaguer. You have Davis Schneider, whose versatility makes him valuable but also vulnerable. You have Joey Loperfido waiting for consistent opportunity. You have George Springer still commanding a presence. You have Santander needing representatives. And now, with Okamoto likely settling in at third base, Addison Barger is pushed more firmly into the outfield mix as well. The arithmetic simply doesn't work forever. That's why a recent report linking the Giants to a potential outfield trade caught so much attention. San Francisco, quietly but clearly, is looking for help in the grass. Their outfield last season was functional, not formidable, and they know it. The idea floated by an MLB analyst was that the Giants could explore names like Luis Robert, William Abreu, or perhaps a more realistic option like Nathan Lucas. And suddenly, that last name didn't feel hypothetical anymore. Nathan Lucas is a fascinating case because his value is both obvious and strangely hard to quantify. He's not a shiny prospect, not a household name, not a player you build billboards around. But he produces. He's been steady, professional, and quietly excellent, including moments on the biggest stages. He looks like a player who deserves an everyday role, and that may be exactly why his future in Toronto feels uncertain. Opportunity elsewhere can be just as powerful as loyalty at home. From the Jays' perspective, moving Lucas wouldn't be about punishing success. It would be about leverage. He might be the most attractive trade chip they have in that crowded outfield, precisely because other teams see him as a solution rather than a project. And if Toronto wants to add another significant piece, whether that's a star bat or bullpen reinforcements, Lucas is the kind of player who opens doors. Speculation has naturally drifted towards what could come back in such a deal, and this is where things get interesting. One name that has been loosely connected in theory is a hard-throwing Giants reliever, a pitcher with eye-watering velocity and raw potential that still needs shaping. Think of it less as a finished product and more as a block of marble waiting for a sculptor. The Jays, with their pitching development track record, might see that as an opportunity. Is it a risk? Of course it is. Trading a known quantity for a lottery ticket always is. But bullpens are built on arms like this, and Toronto knows it could use one more genuinely thumping option to slot in behind its established late-inning pieces. Right now, the relief corps has depth, but adding another high-octane arm could change the entire feel of tight games. Sometimes, one pitcher alters the rhythm of an entire season. At the same time, there's understandable hesitation. Lucas was good last year. Really good. Trading him feels uncomfortable, almost unfair. But baseball is rarely sentimental, especially at the top. If the Jays land another star outfielder, someone like Kyle Tucker, the necessity becomes unavoidable. At that point, Lucas wouldn't just be expendable, he'd be blocked. And no front office wants value to rot on the bench. Even without a Tucker-sized addition, the squeeze is already happening. Projections show Lucas and Schneider cannibalizing time in left field, with others floating in and out depending on matchups. That's not ideal for anyone involved. Players need rhythm. They need roles. And when too many players are sharing too little space, something has to give. What makes this moment so compelling is how quickly things are accelerating. Last night alone, the Jays made multiple procedural moves, quietly adjusting the 40-man roster to make everything fit. Okamoto's 4-year, $60 million deal is now official, and to accommodate him, roster spots had to be cleared. These aren't dramatic moves, but they're signals. The front office is actively shaping, trimming, and preparing. Okamoto himself adds another layer to this puzzle. The Jays have officially listed him as a third baseman, which aligns with expectations, but there's been careful language around flexibility. Both he and the team have spoken about discussing roles internally. That's not accidental. That's optionality. It keeps avenues open while negotiations elsewhere continue. Teams don't speak like that unless they're anticipating further change. There's also a broader context here that can't be ignored. Recent projections suggest the Blue Jays are already near the top of the league in combined pitching and batting value. Add one more elite piece, and suddenly this team isn't just competitive, it's terrifying on paper. The idea that Toronto could vault to the very top of those projections with one more move is not fantasy anymore. It's arithmetic. That's why the trade chatter feels different now. This isn't idle speculation designed to fill the winter calendar. This is roster logic asserting itself. You can feel it tightening, like a knot being pulled. The Jays are too deep in certain areas and not quite deep enough in others. The solution is movement, and movement is coming. So the question becomes personal. Would you trade Nathan Lucas if it meant unlocking the next phase of this team? Would you sacrifice a reliable contributor to create space for greater upside, whether that comes in the form of a star bat or a power arm? There's no right answer, only consequence. And that's what makes this moment so fascinating. As we head towards Okamoto's formal introduction, with agents and executives sharing the same room, every word will be dissected, every smile analyzed. Relationships matter in this league, and the Jays have quietly built strong ones. That may not guarantee anything, but it certainly doesn't hurt. What's clear is that the calm days of this offseason are behind us. The Jays are moving, the league is watching, and the roster itself is demanding resolution. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you like the video, subscribe for daily updates, and share it with anyone who loves the chess match of roster construction. Because this story isn't slowing down. It's only just beginning, and the next move could change everything.